went home to my wife and I said, hey, we should buy a grant writing business. And she's like, you're supposed to go get a job. What are you doing? I ended up buying a grant writing business. I had never had to fire anyone before, and to do that, heartbreaking. Over the last 2 to 3 years, we hover around 300,000 a year business income. And this year I want to take it to $1 million.
You do not see this every day, but Jason joined us after he bought a grant writing business. Yes, you heard me correctly. He bought a business and then learned how to write grants. After years in the nonprofit space, he ended up needing a change, but wasn't quite sure what that would look like. The door that ended up opening, the opportunity to buy an established grant writing business. Team, client, and everything included. So Jason jumped. Welcome to his story.
Jason, I am so excited to talk about your story today.
Thanks for having me.
What drew you to seek a grant writing community and training?
I ended up buying a grant writing business. I started looking for a mentor. I really couldn't find much of anything. I came across the collective, I think on YouTube or on LinkedIn, and resonated with a lot of the messages and some of the tips and things. I need to be a part of this because it seems like there's really smart folks and very applicable to this niche business that I decided to get into. It was worth the investment, isn't it?
Your start to why you joined the collective is so different than I think anyone else. No one else has bought a grant writing business and then joined because you had worked in nonprofits. It wasn't like you were a grant writer. You woke up one day and you're like, I need to buy a business. That's the one it's going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was nothing like that. I worked at a nonprofit. I left that and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do next. I really enjoyed the nonprofit space. I had done some grant writing for us, but I had done it with a professional grant writer. When I left that place, I actually texted her and I said, hey, I'm looking for some extra work. I'm not sure what I'm doing next, but I really enjoyed working with you. And I wondered if we could have lunch and we could talk about maybe me doing some work. And she's like, oh yeah, sure, let's meet up. We're talking. And she says, I actually want to sell the business. Are you interested in buying the business? And I was like, oh, that's hilarious. No, I just need some work. But then my curiosity kicked in. I was like, well, what does that even mean? What does it look like? What do you sell it? And how does that work? I'd actually been trying to retire for a couple of years. She had done an evaluation of the business and she had a couple of folks that were interested and then fell through. I got more and more interested and excited, and she had been doing really well. The business had been around for 20 plus years. She had established clients and she was selling it as a package. I would get her clients, her existing relationships, her staff, everything. I went home to my wife and I said, hey, we should buy a grant writing business. And she's like, you're supposed to go get a job. What are you doing? I thought it was going to be more of I'm the owner and then I'll just hire more folks and we'll grow and owning and from afar. But fast forward to now, I bought myself another job, which has been wonderful. I've learned so much.
The bravery and curiosity it took to even reach out and have that first informational interview, as we would call it in the collective, to go through your network and say, who are the people in my life who could potentially help me with this next phase? And from there, you have no idea what doors open. It's just a beautiful example of that.
Yeah. And I was freaking out because I was like, I don't know what to do next. Here is this very scary but great opportunity, it seemed. I'm glad I got curious in that moment and just asked some questions instead of just brushing it off. I definitely believe that the universe puts things on our path and we choose to either engage or let it go.
And I'm grateful to your wife who said, yes, we can embark on this crazy adventure. Yeah, we couldn't do it without these partners who say yes, I guess you're crazy, but I love you. Let's continue.
Moral support and all of the support has been fantastic, necessary.
Is the vision still to be an owner?
It is. I still want to go out and build connections and network and do that part of the business building, but I really want to have a solid team so that I can really focus on my other business, my nonprofit, because of the trajectory of my life, to be at the point where now I'm bringing funding to organizations where I used to work in those organizations. It's a really interesting path. I'm hoping to level up to where it's like, here you go, let me know how it goes and that kind of thing, but not there yet.
When you look at buying businesses, if anyone's out there looking at this structure, often what's recommended is you buy something within at least one of the core competencies that you have so that you can hire the manager. And now you have all of these core competencies, you actually can manage those people.
I definitely think that coming up through and having to do the things before instructing folks to do the things, so valuable.
What has been one of the biggest challenges?
Hiring has been challenging. Finding folks that are interested in this skill set, finding folks that are equipped with this skill set has definitely been a challenge. There have been a few folks where it seemed like a good fit and a good idea, and it just wasn't. I had never had to fire anyone before and gotten to do that. Heartbreaking.
What have you learned about yourself in the hiring and firing process?
One of the things that I actually heard in one of our conversations in the collective was this idea, hiring slow, but firing fast. Once you see that it's just not going to work out. Again, being such a compassionate person, I never want to have to do that. But then I was seeing it affecting me, affecting everyone here, affecting the outcomes. Might as well get there faster rather than slower. And if there's opportunities to have people work on projects before a full hire, that's another great way to really test their skills.
This is a skill. We think of it as just this side skill. I think the hire slowly, fire quickly. And I hear you on the compassion, because it's been the hardest part, I think, of my entrepreneurial journey as well. One of the things that my dad coached me through was, he said, I have never let go of someone who didn't end up in a better position.
True, yeah.
The compassion also is for that other person to open the doors that need to open for them too.
That actually happened to the person that had to leave.
It's a hard part of this. What are you most proud of?
Bringing those resources to my community. We do a lot of work with local organizations, local medical centers. I'll see a program or a new facility opening and no one else knows, but I know we were a part of that. Like, I just got to chill even explaining that. It's just so rewarding. And working with the medical folks, that's been a challenge because, again, you work with a hospital or this big medical system. We got to work on a street medicine project to train doctors on residency in their residency program. So exciting.
So paint us a picture of what that looks like for those of us who have not heard of street medicine before. I assume you go to the street and you provide medicine. What does it look like?
It's doctors that are getting trained to go to a homeless encampment. It's frightening, actually, to be perfectly honest. We had to talk about safety. How do you communicate with folks who are struggling with all these of things and say, we're safe, we're here, we're trying to provide some help, take it or leave it. I'm not telling you that you have to take any of this treatment, but we're here. If it was my person that was going out to do street medicine, I was like, okay, you said you're going to help them like think about safety, but I feel like we need to do more. It's our responsibility to write these things, and we can't be vague. You send out a security person with them, having those conversations. That's where some of that expertise and some of the other things I do comes into play. Thinking a little bit more critically about how does it really work.
There's all these other things that grant writers do that's sometimes hard to articulate in the value that we're bringing to clients. I think buying a business with the client list sounds like a dream. And what actually kind of transpired is that sometimes that client list isn't everything that you've dreamed up. And so you had to go and get more clients. I wonder how you started presenting your value in relationship to the prices that had to change when you bought this business.
Part of it was also communicating to folks that I have worked in nonprofits in the past. I also have a lot of training about neuroscience and trauma-informed care. So many grant applications now are requiring that staff trauma-informed care training. For me, I've been able to do that programmatic piece as well. And I can look at an application and say, well, you're saying that you're going to check this box of trauma-informed care, but I'd like to know more. What does that training look like in your eyes? And what has it looked like in the past? Because again, my nonprofit could actually partner with you to provide that. And I ask this question when I hire folks too. What are you passionate? For example, a couple folks are really passionate about animals. And so I'm like, okay, cool, let's do that. Let's find some grant clients and some grant opportunities that are about caring for animals, because I know you're going to put all of your effort and intelligence into that application.
One of the things that Elizabeth Burrows said too was, all I need is the passion in the healthcare space, and from there I can do anything with an employee. When we can build a business that's like encompassed of everyone's vision, like all of us get to rise. It's beautiful. One of the things that has really inspired us is watching you do the mindset work and the math work to really get to a place where you're able to charge your clients what the work is worth.
That was one of the first things I did. Was I looked at the pricing structure that I inherited and said, we got to ratchet this up because the times have changed. And so often we get asked to be a part of the program development. And that was kind of frustrating at first, because I was like, I was always the program guy. We were writing grants. Why do I have to be the program guy still?
Because you are the program guy.
We're able to say, well, if you need assistance and support, we're here for that too.
Would you like to talk about any other projects?
I love helping people see the impact of all of your experiences over time and how they've shaped you as an adult. Teaching people and talking about relationships and communication, because it's so hard just to be a human around other humans. I think it's easy because it sounds good in here, but then you have a conversation with someone and you're like, I don't think they understood anything I said. And that is accurate because it's just so beautiful and challenging. Love to lift the top off your head and say, let's look in there and see how it's impacting what you do. That's a little bit of my neuroscience for normal people.
Neuroscience for normal people. I hope that's your tagline.
It almost is.
Some rapid fire questions. What is one word to describe your dream lifestyle?
Chill. I'm a very go with the flow kind of person.
What is your next vacation spot?
We actually have a trip to Puerto Vallarta in July.
Favorite podcast?
Malcolm Gladwell does that whole for normal people thing too. He looks at a bunch of research, distills it so that us non-science folks can understand it and connect the dots.
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading Poet Warrior, also reading Determined, which is another like brainy neuroscience kind of book, and whether or not we have free will.
What is your superpower?
I think compassion. I try and live out this trauma-informed thing as a business owner. That's why I've been slower to fire, because I want people to do better, and I know they want to do better. Instead of coming down on folks, I'm like, all right, how do we do this better? How could I have communicated more directly? Compassion goes such a long way everywhere.
Oh, it is your superpower, I would say, for sure. I think we often overlook that. We can delegate the task and be like, read the SP, be done. The reality is so much of that can also be collaboration. Okay, let's do it together. My new favorite thing is like, okay, you're having a problem. I know I can solve that. But what I'm actually going to do is have you show me on the Zoom, and we're going to walk through the problem, but you're actually going to do it.
I do a lot of tandem things too. Like, okay, let me walk through this and tell you what comes to my mind. And hopefully more of those things will come to your mind as well.
How many people are on your team? How much money you make in a year?
I have 4 folks on my team. 3 of them are full-time. 1 is part-time. And I have a 5th person who's on a maternity leave. She'll be back in a few weeks. Over the last 2 to 3 years, we have around $300,000 a year in contracts and business income.
Excellent.
And this year, I want to take it to $1 million.
What's your North Star?
It's funny when I ever have a conversation about people and I say, oh, I'm a grant writer. They're like, what does that, what is that?
Yeah.
And I tell them we get to write things to help other folks get funding to do the work. That's what gets me up, is let's get that funding so people can continue to do the work.
A unicorn fairy godfather. I'm so excited for you to hit $1 million. I have no doubt that you'll do it. The amount of work that you've done internally in the last couple of years has just been insane. So thank you for continuing to inspire us.
It's been great to have you all around, and that whole mindset shift was big for me. Growing up kind of poor, I don't deserve those kinds of things, but it was a shift of, no, I work hard for these things. Let's go and let's help everyone else move forward too.
Thank you so much, Jason.